Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is a Career Maps National Graduate Week 2021, our live event with Galliford Try. Thank you for joining us, everyone. So this afternoon, we're going to be talking about all the opportunities and within the sector and with them. Now, before we begin, I'm just going to give you a little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded. If you have to leave early or if you want to share the link, you'll be able to find it on Career Map Live on careermap.co.uk in about a week from now when we get it out there. Following that, we have our chat box on the side. Feel free to ask your questions throughout the event, and we will be answering those at a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So I'd like to introduce my guests. We've got Megan, Pat, Scotty, and Andrew. They're going to be presenting to you, and I will be joining you later at the Q&A. So I'll hand over to you and speak to you soon.
Thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're excited to talk to you about Galliford Try, about our graduate opportunities, and of course our graduate programme. So I'm Megan. I'm the Early Careers Manager, so I look after early careers at Galliford Try. So over the next sort of 30-35 minutes, you're going to hear from me and the other speakers who we just introduced. What I'm going to talk about is a little bit about Galliford Try. So who are we? What are our company values? What's our culture like? So what it's like to work with us. Why work with us, of course, because we want to talk to you about our opportunities and, of course, encourage you to come join our team. Talk to you about what we're looking for. So from our graduates, what are we really looking for? What are the key things that we look for in our graduates? Our graduate development programme. So we've got Scotty from Take Point, who's going to talk about our graduate development programme in some detail to give you a real insight as to what to expect from that. And you'll see we've got one recent graduate actually, so Andy's now graduated and been promoted, so he's going to talk about his experience. And then we've got Pat, who's brand new, so she just joined us in the last sort of few weeks as part of our 2021 graduates. So we'll get her insights in terms of her experience so far and going through the process. And then, of course, we'll go back to question and answers, go back to Sharon, and yeah, we'd love to hear your questions and hopefully do our best to answer any questions that you have on the process, on our programme, Galliford Try in general. So this is Bill Hawking. He's our chief exec. So the quote there that we've got from Bill is we're a values-driven, people-orientated, progressive organisation. The reason I've kind of got that up there is to highlight how important early careers is, which obviously includes graduates, so key. We do talk about early careers and we talk about apprentices and trainees, of course, as well. But what we want to highlight is how important they are to our organisation. So Bill is really passionate about early careers. We've recently worked on a new sort of 5-year strategy. And early careers is really high on our agenda in terms of priorities, in terms of the future of our business. And like I say, obviously that's from the top, that's from Bill, and that obviously filters throughout our whole organisation. So yeah, early careers, graduates, key part of our organisation. On the left-hand side there, I've noted our values, and you'll see a bit of a theme. So our values: excellence, passion, integrity, collaboration, so EPIC, as we talk about it, sort of shape everything we do. So you'll see as I talk through the application process and the process for bringing graduates into our business, you'll see that it's all sort of built and developed around our values, because that's the way we work, and that starts from recruitment right through to how we work once you're in the business as well. So agile working. So I've put this here. So I've been with Galliford Try for fast approaching 9 years now, which is a little bit scary. Time flies. And I know that we've had an agile approach to working, certainly informally the whole time I've worked with Galliford Try. We did formalise it, and by that I sort of mean write it down and make it into a policy back in 2018, so still a few years ago now. And what that is the slide sort of explains it there, is empowering our people to choose the way that they work. So back in 2018, or like I say, previous to that, really, we were quite industry leading in that. I think in construction, in our industry, it's maybe wasn't as forward as other industries. And actually, like I say, Galliford Try really recognise that the maybe traditional 9 to 5 doesn't always work. We've got a real focus on work-life balance, and what our approach to Agile working does is really highlights that and allows us to create a sort of more inclusive working environment, like I say, give that flexibility, and ultimately improve work-life balance. So it works for a number of our people all across our business and in many different ways. So yeah, I probably should say it's really come on leaps and bounds in the last 18 months. Funnily enough, we've all sort of been thrown into a new way of working. But what was actually great is, given that we were already doing that for a few years prior to obviously the pandemic and the massive changes, meant we were really well set up. So yeah, forward thinking in that way is a big part of what we're doing. Wellbeing. So this is sort of tied into, I just mentioned the work-life balance, and wellbeing really ties into that. I think always been important to our organisation, but again, something that's really been sort of brought to the forefront of all our minds in the difficult times we've had recently. And like you say, the well-being of our people is really, really important to us as an organisation. I want to highlight just a couple of points on the slide here. So volunteering days, first of all. We have 2 paid volunteering days a year. So whether you already volunteer and that's something you want to do, continue to do, then that's great. Like say, you get 2 paid days a year to do that, or something you want to take up, some sort of volunteering, or even a one-off. We really, really encourage people to use those 2 days and to volunteer and to give back. And the other one I want to highlight is mental health awareness. So you may or may not be familiar with the charity. I've got the logo on the screen there, Mates in Mind, just at the bottom. It's a mental health charity who we partnered with a number of years ago now. In our industry in construction, I think there's still some stigma attached to talking about mental health. And what we want to do is sort of really break that down and break down those barriers, and encourage people to talk about their mental health. So Mates in Mind, they have a programme. In the first part of the programme, it's called Start the Conversation. So as the name suggests, it's about starting that conversation around mental health and mental health awareness. And every single person who joins our organisation goes through that initial sort of course to learn tips on how to talk about mental health, how to feel comfortable, and to know and to recognise that at Galliford Try, that's something that's encouraged. So yeah, that was the 2 points sort of around wellbeing that I wanted to highlight. So why work with us? Again, I've got some headlines up here. So competitive salary and bonus, excellent holiday allowance. One that I really want to pull out is the fully funded professional membership. So we would encourage you, it's not mandatory, but we definitely encourage all our graduates to do their professional qualification. So whether it's ICE or CIOB or whatever the professional qualification that you join us, the role that you join us to do, is we definitely encourage you to do that. So fully funded, so that's important, so we pay for it. But what's also really important is we will provide you with a mentor within our business, so someone within our business who has completed the same professional qualification. So we'll basically partner you with someone who's already done it, and they'll mentor you throughout it. So it's that support, both in terms of the funding, which is important, but also that support as a sort of a one-on-one basis with an individual to help you complete your professional qualification. On top of that, I've sort of mentioned on-the-job training. So of course, as you're on the job in the office, out on site, wherever that may be, you'll receive sort of informal training. And then on top of that, of course, there will be formal training as appropriate for your role as well. I won't talk at this point about the graduate development programme because, of course, we were talking about that in more detail later, but of course, that's also part of your graduate programme as well. So what we're looking for. So I've got here a number of really good words in terms of what we're looking for in our people, you know, passion, self-starters, resilience, adaptability, and these are all really key and relevant good words. But what we're really looking for individuals who match our company values. So I mentioned this right at the start, excellence, passion, integrity, collaboration. This is everything we do is built around these values. So what we're looking for in our graduates is your skills and experiences to match those values. We can tell you've got the academic ability based on the degree. So of course, for our graduate roles, we require you to have a degree. That probably goes without saying. But after that, we will not ask you technical questions throughout the recruitment process. Your interview will be values-based and it'll be about getting to know you a bit better. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for individuals who match our company values. So our 2022 recruitment process then. So online application. So this is relatively straightforward. We do require a few basic details from yourselves, obviously contact information, that sort of thing, and then a CV as well. What we're looking for in terms of the CV, so obviously you would include details about your experience and your academic qualifications as well. But what we're really interested in is you go back to who you are as a person. So we want to get to know you a little bit. So what are your main skills? What are your values? And what do you think you would bring to Galliford Try? And that's what we're looking for, more interested in that. Obviously, we do need to know about your qualifications, but it's sort of wider than that for us. So if you're successful at the application stage, it's a Teams interview. So this is a live interview via Teams with a member of the HR team. Again, it's just getting to know you a bit better. It's not technical. We won't ask you about your degree. We'll ask you about you as a person. So what are your skills and experiences and how do those match to our company values? And then finally, the last stage of the process is a virtual assessment centre. So this year we've taken the view to continue to do these virtually. Worked really, really well for our 2021 intake, which we've completed. And just with some ongoing uncertainty, we took the view to be able to sort of commit to exact dates in advance and not sort of have to worry about any changes in restrictions, etc. And we've taken the view to continue these virtually, at least for our 2022 intake. So the virtual assessment centre then, again, it's not technical. We don't do psychometric testing. We are interested about you as an individual. There'll be an interview element to that. And again, it's your opportunity to find out about us. It's a two-way process for us. So find out about us as an organisation, ask about our projects. We always have key people from the business in attendance at our assessment centres. And then obviously an opportunity for us to find out more about you as well. So we'll ask you about your skills, your experiences, and just about you as a person. There's also a couple of group elements to the assessment centre. So again, we're looking at how you interact with other people. That's around obviously collaboration, communication, emotional intelligence, decision making, this sort of thing. So that's again looking at so group setting plus the interview, and it's just us getting an overall picture of you as a person. And from the assessment centre, we go straight to offer. That's the final stage in the process. So that's sort of in a nutshell, that's our recruitment process. Our 2022 graduate roles go live on the 27th of October, so just over 2 weeks' time. You can apply directly on our website, and of course we're on LinkedIn, and of course all our roles will be live on Career Map as well. So we encourage you to apply, please go and have a look, find out a bit more about us. And yeah, that brings me to the end of my bit. So I'm sure you're very intrigued to hear more about our graduate development programme. So I'll hand over now to Scotty. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Much appreciated. And yeah, good afternoon. So I know it says Andrew Scott, but we've got a number of presenters on here that are called Andrew, so it's just easier if you call me Scotty, and we do it that way. So I work for the organisation Take Point Training, and we've been working with Galliford Try for about 3 years now. And I'll just give you a couple of seconds to read that paragraph, and it'll introduce who we are in a formal way. Spot on. So hopefully now you've read that or had a chance to read that, just dispel a few fears that kind of come forward from that, and everybody sees the military experience and the military side of things. We are all veterans that work for Take Point and on the graduate programme. What we aren't is SAS tough enough. It certainly is not that. There's no shouting, screaming, press-ups. It's all the good things that have come from the military with regards to teamwork. It's definitely not Squid Games as well, if you're watching that as well. Yep, there's none of that. It is what we bring to the organisation and to the training package is our ability to develop people, and that's what we are about, and that's what Take Point is about. We are about developing the individual. We are also about talent spotting. In military, we don't recruit high-ranking individuals straight in. All our senior leadership is developed from the beginning, and that's what Galliford Try want with the graduates. It's future leaders, and that's what we're looking at. And this is the start point for you. So we kind of take that ethos, and we look for. We start working on high performance teams. And we're exceptionally good at that. That's where our background comes from that high performance teamwork. And obviously with the leadership side of things, and leadership isn't about rank, role or position, it's about action. And that is, again, what we're about. So it kind of leads on nicely from where Megan started with the excellence, passion, integrity and collaboration. So that epic side of things that Galliford Try want you to be, and that's what they are looking for. So we focus our training on that epic side of things, and that's what we align to, and it sits very well with us because it's a good set of values that we, with our backgrounds, can associate with, which is why we're here. So in a second, I'm just going to, next slide will just come up and it'll give you a brief oversight and run through it of how we structure it for the 2-year program. So again, I'll just give you a couple of seconds to digest the information on the right-hand side. So you'll be introduced to us firstly with a snippet during the welcome event if you're successful with your application to Galliford Try, and you'll get a flavour for what it is that we do and how we do it. And the programme now is, as the world has changed, is as Megan has said, it's a blended learning. So there's a mixture now from online learning and face-to-face. So once we've done the welcome event online, we then move on to module 1, which is delivering passion. And what we're looking at is we're looking at building. We look at you as an individual to start with. So we look at self, and then we move on to the teamwork, and then we introduce leadership side of things, and then it culminates at the end with you talking back to me and presenting back to me. So what you do on module 1 is you will deliver a 10-minute presentation face-to-face to the CEO for Take Point Training, and that gives us an introduction to you. And what we're doing is we're building that self-confidence and that ability to present both virtually and face-to-face, because that is how business is working these days. And by doing that, it's called something, and we base our training on something called experiential learning. And experiential learning, fancy word for it's actual doing and having an experience. And what we found with our military careers is that we learn most of our skills from actually doing. And so by doing that, we put you through actual events and make you do things, and not make you do things, but get you to do things. And you'll understand and start to learn something, once, about yourself. 2, you'll learn some new skills. And 3, you'll start to develop that self-confidence. The excellence will start to arrive. You need to show us your passion by involving yourself in it. Integrity is something you should wear on your sleeve as you move forward. It will be invaluable to you in your careers. And the collaboration, and again, and the teamwork. So module 1 is specifically about the individual, and we start looking at you in that sense. Module 2 then, the bigger picture. We encourage you, you have 6 months to complete module 2. We encourage you to visit somewhere else in the organisation, so you'll meet people, you meet fellow graduates, and we encourage you to go to their workspace for a day, a couple of days, and learn how they do it, see what they do well, see what lessons you can take back on things you can take back to your workspace. And you'll have 6 months to complete that. Module 3 is the first time that then we actually start looking at teamwork, and this is done online, face to face. So we'll put you through a number of tests, not so much tests, scenarios, and you'll start to develop a teamwork, and you need to be able to operate as a team online, because you are dislocated from your organisation, working away, working at home, working in different offices. You need to have that ability to build teams. And at the end of module 3, you'll get a one-to-one feedback on how we've seen you develop, what we see your areas of strength, and we concentrate on areas of strength. Because if you're good at something, you need to keep doing it. And then we'll also give you guidance on ways to improve your teamwork and reflect back to you how we've seen it, and you will talk to us about your performance and a self-assessment. So it's a 180 and a 360 feedback. So module 4 then, that's pretty much it's the picture in the middle there. So it's an outdoor event, glamping in North Yorkshire, glamping tents. So we'll take you out of your comfort zone a little bit. Yeah, it's nothing, it won't be PT in the morning. Yeah, and the same again, we're going to look to for you to implement what we've taught you about teamwork and what you've learned about yourself, and bring that into the real world. In the woods, a nice corporate setting on a North Yorkshire rural estate, where you will be put through a series of performance in checks and see how your teamwork is. And again, it gives us that opportunity to see you face to face, and I'll see you through all these modules, and you'll meet some of the other team members and some inspirational team members that we have that have been through some fantastic journeys. And that's kind of a nice big event, barbecues and social at the end of it, and we get to know you, and we get to build that team ethos and collaboration again. Once we've done that, we move on to financial awareness. Module 5 is Galliford Tries. That's for them to do, and they deliver, and they deliver it exceptionally well. But again, that gets great feedback at the end of course. Module 6 then, and this is kind of when in module 4 we'll introduce you to leadership theories and nuggets of information that we expect you to take on board and then put into practice. And then module 6 is in a classroom-based scenario. That's the bottom and top pictures that you'll see. Yep, and we'll run you through projects. So you'll lead a project, and you'll be introduced to the governance of project management, generic governance for project management. And you'll experience the pressures, the financial constraints, the time constraints, and delivering on the scope of the project. And you'll all get the opportunity to do that. And again, at that stage, we can then look at that one-to-one feedbacks all the way through, and you'll sit down with a facilitator who will tell you what we see, you'll tell us what you think, and you start to learn something about yourself. And again, you've learned something new, some new skills, and move on. And then that kind of culminates in module 7, where you'll be given the opportunity to present to me and your peer group online. It'll be a 10-minute presentation, and it's a culmination of the 2-year program. And it's an opportunity for you to show us that you have become that epic person that Galliford Try want. And then again, we'll see you briefly at the closeout, and we'll have in a nice corporate setting, or there's presentations, and again, that's in conjunction with Galliford Try. So a brief handshake, and we send you on your way into the big wide world of Galliford Try and the start of your career. So hopefully that's given you a flavour of what TakePoint is about, and I look forward to meeting you if you are successful with your application. Andrew.
Thank you, Scotty. My name's Andrew Bentham. I'm one of the former graduates who've worked with TakePoint under the graduate programme. I've just finished my second year in that graduate programme, so I've now been promoted to assistant site manager from graduate site manager. Important to note as well, with our graduate programme, after 2 years and when that culminates, you do automatically get promoted, which coming from, you know, having just been to uni, that's coming pretty handy, let me assure you. I've just made some notes here. And Galliford Try have long been a name what's come up into my head ever since I was at university applying for jobs, and whenever they came onto my radar, Galliford Try have always had this perception from everybody who talks about them that, oh, they're a good company to work for. And whenever I heard about GT, that's all anyone said about it. And I can definitely confirm, and I've realised what they've been on about when as I've come to work for them. We are a fantastic company to work for, and I certainly don't think the grass is greener at any other main contractor. Certainly not. As I know, a lot of staff, such as site managers like myself and quantity surveyors, can tend to jump around to different companies. That's just the nature of the construction industry. But definitely don't feel the need to be doing that anytime soon. A few notes about the training programme with TakePoint. I was enormously grateful for the standard and quality of the graduate training. That's was one of the biggest things I seek to when applying for jobs. I was trying to get an insight into what main contractors really offered in terms of graduate training, and it's very hard to judge from the outside looking in and applying for these courses. But it's exceeded all my expectations working with TakePoint, and it's been extremely rewarding. And I've no agenda saying all of this. You know, these are just my honest opinions. It's a very, very well put together training course. It complements a lot of things we do in our industry. Certainly in my role as a site manager, massive on teamwork, utilising everybody's different roles and skills, and it complements our work really well in GT construction. Another point I'd like to make is enjoy the perks of your career, especially in Galliford Try. We are as been said, a progressive, forward-thinking company, as construction can be quite an intimidating place, especially on site at times, and full of dinosaurs, let's face it. But honestly, it is a really forward-thinking, progressive atmosphere, and it's really inclusive of everyone. Like there's, you know, you work with people from all different backgrounds, race, religions, nationalities, ethnicities, genders, etc. And I think that only grows us and makes us better as an industry. It's brilliant. So on enjoying the perks, the graduate training program, as I've mentioned, it was excellent. Training outside of the graduate course has been abundant. You know, like I have had countless training courses over the past 2 years. Depending on what your role is, you will be urged to, you know, attend several different training courses, and you can also request as much training as you like, and even if it's specific niche courses, and sort of tailor your development that way. I am going through my chartership with the CIOB, which is my, as a site manager, my national board. The quantity surveyors are doing theirs with the RICS as well. So that's a good thing to get under your belt as well. And to be quite blunt, another one of the perks is great pay and benefits. Like, you know, coming out of uni, I've really enjoyed the benefit of having a company car and a good salary and healthcare and a decent pension and all of that. It's not, you know, it's not not embarrassed to say these things are really important and something I've really enjoyed. On the next point about development paths, the development paths are clear to see in GT, and right from the early days, I knew what the next step of my role was to get promoted to, and the next step above, and the next step again. So I've gone from graduate site manager. I'm now promoted to assistant site manager. Next level is site manager, then senior site manager, and maybe even project manager, leading whole construction projects. But the important thing is that you can always see the ladder of progression, and we have an actual document under our HR section that actually details whatever your role is, which career ladder you fall under. So you can always see the top in the next step. You can always plan your career as such. So if you're passionate and sort of want to really structure and plan things out and see where you're going, like I did, you can definitely do that. Seeing the bigger picture. So in Galliford Try, I think this has been one of the most rewarding things that we do. We get involved in, we have, I think it's 9 regional businesses. I'm in the Construction Northwest business. And every month we have a meeting. We traditionally met up at the head office in Warrington, but it's been on Teams for the last year or so. And it's extremely rewarding feeling a part of the bigger picture and seeing where you fit into it, and how well the business is getting on, what work we've got coming up, knowing that you're in a safe, secure, well thought out bigger picture. It's not just turning up to work every day seeing the same faces and feeling like you're only a number. You can definitely see the bigger picture. And further than our Northwest business, we had a national CEO roadshow with our CEO Bill Hocking just only last week, in where we had a teams meeting, a really rewarding process. Again, seeing the bigger picture from literally the top CEO, and we were able to ask questions, have good discussions, see where our business is as a whole, and it's a very good place to be in right now. So that is immensely rewarding. And just final bullet point for me, I've headlined this 1 week changed my life, and it's just to create an awareness really of how I got into GT. And it may not be the route that you think. It will become apparent that everyone in construction has got a different route into it. And everything changed for me when I was at university, and halfway through I did a 1 week work experience with Galliford Try on a site. And I did go into it thinking, what's 1 week going to do really? Like I had all intentions of trying to do a year out and get a year's placement and get paid, and while I'm still learning, and then go back, finish my degree. That's all well and good to think that. Pretty best of both worlds. But I had the 1 week opportunity of work experience on a site, and that changed everything for me. So I guess I am advising, go and get a little bit of work experience, maybe 1 week, couple of days, just to get your foot in the door and see what it really is like. You may not always need a year's placement or a summer placement like you probably think coming through uni. It may make more sense to just go and have a sneak peek at the business if you can. Go and see it for just 1 week or a couple of days. Get your foot in the door, make it real for yourself, and just see what it is like. Because that set more passion in me than anything. And just shape my career and made me really see where I wanted to go. So I am immensely grateful for that. And I would urge certainly university undergraduates like myself to just go and make it real for yourself and go and have a sneak peek at what's out there. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass that on to now our current graduate. Thank you very much.
Hello guys, hopefully you can hear me. I do apologise if you hear any background noise. I'm currently on site, so if you see anyone popping in, just ignore it. So I am Patricia Madra. Everyone calls me Pat just because of the spelling. So I've actually started working with GT about 5 weeks ago as a graduate site manager, so I am a newbie to this industry. My route was, I've graduated from Loughborough this summer. I've done a year placement with Balfour Beatty, and this is how I ended up here. So as Andrew mentioned, obviously everyone has a different route that they would like to take, try it out. Personally, I think getting that experience, that 1 year experience, does build your confidence, especially on site, not really understanding a lot of the technical aspects of it. It does give you that courage to know what you're doing. So from my point of view, I would definitely say get yourself out there, even if it's, as he says, a summer placement is always helpful. So talking about the application process, I have applied through an actual Galliford Try website. So I didn't go through any career paths or any external website. So I went on the Galliford Try sort of careers links, and that's how I applied. It was really, really easy. All you had to do is obviously upload your CV. I think there was about 2 boxes of like, tell us why you want to work with Galliford Try, and the typical questions that you normally get asked. However, they were really speedy with getting back to you. They always kept you in the loop. It was really nice that they actually cared about informing what stage you are at. You didn't have to chase like I obviously had with previous companies, so that was really good. In terms of hints and tips, obviously I'm aware that a lot of people are thinking, what can I do to be better than everyone else? I would say, as cliche as it sounds, be yourself. Don't try to say and make things up that you haven't done. Be open about what you know, what you don't know. Obviously, any sort of questions that you are unaware about, think about a way how you would react in that scenario. What would you do if that was the case? Another thing I would personally do is definitely research the company. My personal advice would be reading the annual reports. That document has absolutely everything you need for an interview. It will tell you about the values. It will tell you about how the company's doing. It will tell you about the projects that they're into. So it gives you a little bit more of an insight of how the company is, and just see whether you actually like it. Because at the end of the day, as much as they are interviewing you, you are also interviewing them. You need to make sure you are fit for the company. There are so many different companies out there. You don't want to be stuck in the wrong one. And my experience of joining Galliford Try, so as I said, it was really, really easy process. It was only the first initial process of uploading your CV. Then I had a online Teams call interview with one of the HR team, which was really nice. It was really, I didn't expect it to go this nicely, this smoothly. It was obviously one of my first online interviews, so you can only imagine. I'm assuming you guys will be going through the same stress of like, what is going on? How do we do this? But it was really nice, really easy. The questions, they weren't trying to catch you out. They were really trying to understand who you are as a person. After that, I had an assessment centre, which, as Megan mentioned before, so it's kind of split into 2 stages. One of them is about you presenting what you know about the company, what sort of skills and experiences you have, obviously competency-based questions. And the other side of it is more about teamwork, how you work as a team. Trying to think of what mine was. I think they send you a link a few days before with like a snippet of a picture, and then you try to guess what it is as a group. It's really interactive. Everyone gets to speak. Everyone gets to join in. So it's really nice. You feel very equal. As Andrew mentioned, a lot of the companies, you just feel like a number, whereas within Galliford Try, it is very much of a family-orientated, people-orientated sort of feeling, just positive outlook on everything. Everyone comes into work smiling, even though we're on site at 7 a.m. we still keep a nice smile on our faces and just keep it going as a team. Obviously everyone is out here to help you. If you don't know anything, for example myself, I was on the phone to people I've never seen like 2 days in. I was just like, how do I do this? How do I do this? Can you help me with this? So everyone's really helpful. Everyone's very very positive, and everyone's here to help and teach you how to actually carry out your job. So yeah, I think overall, be yourself, don't stress about it, read up on the company. Annual report is the best thing ever, and I wish you good luck, I suppose. So yeah, I'll pass on to Megan.
Thank you, that was great. That now takes us nicely on to our question and answer session.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for all those interesting and quite thorough presentations, and also some different directions and views, which is always great to know. Our audience has been a little bit quiet today, but I did get some of the questions written down, and it was one was picked up by Jane, who was obviously looking at your volunteering and encouragement to volunteer, and she was asking, what kind of skills do you feel could be learned from doing volunteering? And I know she's probably talking about on your scheme, but I would imagine it would be something you'd be interested in seeing in candidates as well.
Absolutely. I think, does she mean in terms of if we were looking for volunteering as part of their application, in terms of volunteering on a CV? Was that the angle that she means?
I think she probably picked up on it on your presentation. You said that part of the scheme of the 2 days.
Yeah, so that's actually across our organisation. So every single person in the organisation, not just graduates, not just early careers, have the opportunity to have 2 paid volunteering days every year. The skills, I'm not sure the skills behind it was probably our reasoning. It was more about giving back. In Galliford Try as an organisation, you know, to help local communities, and I actually put it under the Wellbeing section, and I think that volunteering is good for you. I think that there's something very rewarding about volunteering, and obviously whatever way you volunteer, you're giving something back, so someone's benefiting from that in some way as well. So in terms of skills, that's probably not our focus. It's probably more it's allowing you that time. You know, our time's really precious. You know, if you're working full time. So obviously it's not annual leave, which you obviously get annual leave to recharge. It's sort of 2 days in addition to that, to volunteer, to do something that you want to do that is giving back.
If I could just add to that, Megan, I think it links quite nicely to social value. We don't, as a construction company, we don't just rock up to places and start throwing up buildings and causing massive disruption. We actually add a lot of aspects of social value to the areas in which we work, whether that's local community projects, going into local schools. I've been involved in a couple myself, going to a local high school. For example, having a little sit down at a careers fair with young children and talking to them about the skills they learn, what they're interested in, making them aware of construction, so little community projects like that. So you may be surprised at the social value work that we do as a construction company, and positive output into our local communities as well.
It's interesting you should say that, because it leads nicely on from a question from Lucy that was asking Andrew, actually, what would you describe the culture like at GT, and what do you think you have developed the most after training?
Honestly, we put it up as a message from Bill Hocking, the CEO, about being a progressive, people-orientated business. And you think that's a bit of like corporate, fluffy, nice thing to say, but it genuinely is. Like, I feel like it certainly is that way. I mentioned in my little speech, droning on about that, you know, you can come across a few dinosaurs in the industry. You know, construction sites maybe have a preconception or a bit of a intimidating environment, and you know it could be, but we're certainly on the upward trajectory, and I feel we fit in nicely with companies in this in 2021 in society at the moment, if you know what I'm trying to say. I do think we are a progressive, forward-thinking company, and people-orientated is probably the best two words to describe us. So culture-wise, certainly together with the reputation what we have, you know, to be a little bit biased, let's say, I don't think any other main contractor is quite as good as us on that front.
Great. And we talked about working for yourselves and your graduate scheme, the different opportunities that are going to be there. What kind of roles are available? Is there different directions and pathways, or is it finding your way from the beginning?
I mean, I can sort of touch upon this. Obviously, starting as a new starter, what Galliford Try does is you can go through the rotational scheme, which allows you to sort of test different sectors, different departments, such as design, site, commercial, pre-con. So it does allow you to actually understand what you really enjoy, what you don't enjoy. So it does, unlike other companies, which I haven't seen, especially on, you know, advertisement, that you can go through the rotational route. So it's really nice that they are willing to sort of spend time with you in different departments just to shape you as a better individual and obviously a better manager in the future.
Do you want to add to that, Megan?
Thank you. Yes, just briefly. So in terms of actual roles, if this was what I'm thinking about our 2022 intake and what we're looking for, we always look for the traditional construction type roles. So we've mentioned site manager, quantity surveyor, engineer. We always look for these roles. In addition to that, we also have a number of roles which are a little less construction focused, but obviously still really key to our business. So finance graduates, data analysts, acquisition surveyors. So looking for different backgrounds, still obviously related to our industry from a sort of STEM perspective, but not maybe as closely tied to what you would always think of as a construction-based role. And then of course as well, we do look for other services. So we do have HR within our business, we do have IT within our business, and of course the roles that we look for in those spaces vary depending on project requirements and that sort of thing. So yeah, I probably, to sum up, quite a variety of roles across our business.
Great. Well, it's also links into, again, a couple of questions. There's a lot about the opportunities. So one of the candidates asking Ty there, what is the progression like then from the graduate scheme?
From the graduate scheme. So all our graduates, and Andy, you sort of touched upon this, all our graduates join us on a permanent basis. So whilst the graduate programme itself is a 2-year programme, you would join us as a permanent full-time graduate, and then you would automatically at the end of the programme be promoted to the appropriate role. So for example, graduate quantity surveyor would become an assistant quantity surveyor. So for the 2 years you would stay a graduate, you'd complete the programme, then it's automatic promotion. Then after that, I suppose what we say and how we, so Scotty talked about the graduation event and how we do I think he called it a final handshake sort of thing. What we sort of do at that point is we talk about the skills that you've learned, and we encourage you to then lead your own career. So we ensure that we've got the tools and the support. We ensure that you've got the tools and the support, but to really drive your own career. Because I think what we recognise is the programme's obviously got that structure. And at the very start of your career, that's key. You sort of maybe at that point need that wee bit more structure to help you develop. Once you get to the end of that 2 years and you've obviously developed throughout that time, it's then up to you. What do you want to do? What are your ambitions? Andy talked about the career paths. He mentioned the career paths is one of our HR tools, which is a fantastic tool. Actually, it's one of our best kept secrets. I'm glad to know that you know about it, Andy. And what that shows is it shows different progression routes. So Andy, you talked about that sort of linear progression. So you talked about obviously graduate site manager, assistant site manager, senior site manager, and linear is obviously one way, and it's great that's a really clear pathway. Also, the size of our organisation as well, there's also the opportunity to sort of, side moves, or move into different parts of the business. And the the career paths maps that out. So you can see all the different progression routes, all different sort of pieces to the puzzle, you know, to bring it back to that bigger picture piece. So we are progressive business, and I would say that the progression routes are always there, but we do also encourage you to drive your own career.
I'd just like to add to that quickly, Megan, about I think we're quite a spectrum of roles in construction, and they all blend into each other more than you may realise. In my role as site management, I could end up, I'm not just going, if you imagine it like a tree, I'm sort of on the stem, and I could branch off into different areas and probably come back again and branch off into other areas that's just focusing on engineering or design management or just boots on the ground pushing site activities on site and sit to, you know, on the ground site management. There definitely is. It's not a rigid career path. There's always room to move.
Great. Well, that's a nice little follow on, Andrew, and for Patricia, because we had Liam asking, is the construction industry something you were always interested in, or was this looking at different grad schemes and seeing what appealed?
I think it's quite refreshing to see, if you asked every colleague of ours and anyone else, you know, in construction how they got into it, I think everyone would have a different answer. I came off the tools. I've always had like sort of labour focused jobs. I was formerly a ground worker before I went to university, and I started off on the quantity surveying degree because I thought, right, okay, this looks like something for me. And I spoke earlier about how I had 1 week work experience on site, and that changed everything for me. I realised that quantity surveying wasn't as much for me as site management is. So I tailored my career path towards that. So I think the best way in answering Liam's question is the construction industry something you were always interested in. I don't think many people are always interested in, and if you was to ask high school kids, like I've done this. I've been to events with high school children, and it's almost like construction isn't something I aspire to get into. But I'm quite passionate on making people aware that whatever skills you have and whatever you're interested in, there's certainly something in construction for you. So what I'd say to everyone on this call is get some awareness of where you might fit into construction, and I feel like we're a bit of a hidden gem in that we can cover everyone's skills and sort of interest, and there's definitely something for everyone in it.
Yeah, just to add on top of Andrew, obviously being a woman in construction is a different sort of route. It's not something you normally see. However, if you are more of a get your hands on things rather than sitting behind the screen all day long, you get the very sort of you can just mix and match. You can go on site, you can be in the office. It's a nice environment to switch up a little bit. You get to learn so much on site, obviously with the subcontractors. If you don't know something, your knowledge, no textbook will teach you how the job is done unless you go on site and actually learn it from first-hand experience. It allows you to work on your management skills. It allows you to adapt quickly, be flexible with people. Obviously, you get a spectrum of people. You get people that are high-end clients to literally, as I said, people on site. So you do really tailor you as an individual and become a more shaped person. It really does make you, it opens your eyes to a lot of the things as well. It is a really great fun. It keeps you busy. It's fun. It's definitely fun. As I said, it's not your office job for sure. So it's an interesting career to go from, but it's very rewarding. For example, obviously GT is on the framework with a lot of Department for Education, so we build a lot of schools. So it's very, very rewarding to actually being able to hand over a building, a school, and the head teacher and the kids to be so excited that you've built a community for them instead of a residential pack of flats that, you know, half of them will probably be standing there empty. So it is really nice.
That's really great. We before we wrap up, because we kind of coming towards the end here, but we had someone talking about some practical questions earlier on about how long your roles are actually advertised or live, and kind of the facts and figures about the start dates of schemes. And we have had a couple of employers mentioning that, and obviously the young people are picking up on this, if there's a better chance for them to get on the scheme if they apply early. So some people keep all applications open to the final closing date, some try to wrap up closely. And I'll just throw in on an addendum of that, is there a second cycle as well? Do you do this a couple times a year, or do you tend to be one period?
Okay, good questions. So our roles will go live, as I mentioned, the 27th. They normally stay open until February. But yes, very, very good point that if our roles are filled, we do close the roles earlier. So yeah, absolutely, I would encourage you to apply early. However, let me be clear, if you apply, every single application would be reviewed. We would never sort of cut it off as, oh, these chunk applied first, so therefore they're the first to be considered. Not at all. As long as your application is in, then of course it would be reviewed in line with all the rest of them. What I mean by it is, if, for example, we had posted a role and we received 500 applications sort of overnight, we wouldn't leave that open indefinitely and therefore end up with 1,500 sort of thing. Yep. So absolutely would encourage you to apply early. Our assessment centres run from, normally we do one in December, so one this side of the year, and then the majority are January and February, which is why obviously we say the roles approximately February, but as you can see then the roles which we'll cover in December would be closed because those roles would be filled. We do one cycle. When we post the roles in a couple of weeks, that will be all the graduate requirements that we expect for 2022. If something in the business changed and we had additional requirements, we would post more roles, but we don't do it as a second cycle as such. It's more, oh, we now have this new requirement and we would just sort of add it to the group. But the roles that we post in a couple of weeks is what we expect to be our full 2022 intake. Was there other parts to that question? There was a lot of parts to your question.
There was lots of parts to the question. I do tend to throw them out. No, I think you did manage to cover them all. Mm-hmm. But Jim just popped up on the end there asking, can you apply for multiple roles?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. And if they do apply and you feel that they're perhaps more suited to another, do you recommend the change?
That's exactly what we do. So if we picked up your application for one role and for whatever reason we felt you were more suited to another, we would obviously have that conversation with you to make sure that was of interest, but we would sort of naturally make that connection. We'd encourage you to apply for the roles that are of interest to you, because then we know that from our side, but we would definitely pick up if you were more suitable for other roles, and we would match you to that. So obviously you wouldn't go through the process multiple times. You would do the interview once and or the assessment centre once, and it would be whichever role was most suitable.
Brilliant. Well, we have actually now run out of time. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Before we say our formal farewells, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who joined us. Lots of people have arrived, not many have left, so that's quite a good turnout. Thank you for staying to the bitter end. And I have put the link in the chat for you to go directly to GT's graduate recruitment page. This session has been recorded. It will be available on careermap.co.uk/careermap live. To be honest, we've got 20 events this week, so it'll probably be the end of next week when we get it up there. But thank you very much for joining, and please share the love around, and hopefully we'll see you at some of our events later in the week. So goodbye from me, and goodbye from our guests at Galliford.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.